Dr. Shanahan. I am checking in about the final project and just final wrap up of our online course, EME 452. So you have almost made it to the end, and I just want to talk through the final project with you a little bit to clarify any questions that you might have as you hopefully already have read over the assignment sheet up on Blackboard. So essentially for the final project, what you are doing is you're creating a yearly curricular plan for how you're teaching, how you would teach grammar, the concepts that you would focus on, some of the things that you would do for teaching grammar in a future classroom, in a future grade band, which I'll explain in just a minute. But you are going to not create individual lesson plans, nothing like that, but you are really thinking through grammar across a full year and how it might be taught, how you might order things, how some of the texts that you might use, some of the resources, strategies, things that you might focus on. So in looking at the final project assignment sheet, let's go through this just kind of point by point. First, in thinking about the layout of the grammar resource, I am very open. I want you to do what works for you. So you are putting together some sort of digital graphic organizer or chart or diagram, or you could even do like a Prezi or something like that. Although keep in mind that I'd like you to use this, hopefully this should be applicable to your future teaching. So something that you might be able to pull up in the future and say, oh yeah, that's how I planned out to teach grammar to my second graders, for example. So create some sort of digital organizer that works for you. Then you're going to choose a grade band from the following list, either K-12, 1 through 3, 2 through 4, 3 through 5, 4 through 6, 5, 7, or 6, 8. So I want you to choose this band, not necessarily kind of plan it with that middle grade in mind, and then know that you are going to be looking at the standards and some skills sort of below that grade level, that target grade level, and above it. So that would help you with differentiation. So if you plan to teach second grade, for example, and then you find that some of your students are really able to move beyond some of the standards and expectations for second grade, then you've got some of the third grade ideas in mind too. And similarly, if you've got some who are behind a little bit, you also have some of the first grade standards and concepts in your mind. So choose one of those grade bands, one of those grade ranges for you to focus on for your grammar resource. I want you to use the Kentucky Academic Standards, which you had to access in your previous module, and look at those first 3 language standards again, which are the grammar ones, and think about, read through the concepts for your grade band and what's focused on, because you'll have to hit on those in your grammar resource. Then you're thinking through how to organize your resource. There's no one way to do this. Some options would include how you might teach them during the year. So you might say September, October, November, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, something like that. You might think about them in terms of the rhetorical effect that the author is attempting to achieve. So we have many of our different grammar concepts that help to add more detail, right? Adjectives do that, phrases do that, prepositions do that, right? So all the things that we know our students could do to add more detail and some of the things for that. Then we could go for a dramatic effect or a sentence variety or something like that. Another rhetorical effect. You could think about it like that. You could also do it by the type of writing that you would align them with. So thinking about narrative and then some of the concepts that you would teach with that, informational, and then the same thing with argumentative. That's another option. If there's another idea that you have that I haven't been able to come up with, if it makes sense to you, I am open to it. Beyond that, you are creating an organizer that has some ideas of some mentor texts that can be used with the concept. All of you now have access to at least 6 different mentor texts from your author's craft project. Use some of those. Use some of the other ones that I might have highlighted in some of the PowerPoints or anything, and any other text that you can think of that you've found, that you've read, anything that that could be used as a great mentor text, as a great example of how an author uses nouns or sentence variety or punctuation or whatever it may be. So some ideas about mentor text should be there. You're also going to clearly define the concept and or list some examples of that concept in your grammar resource. And then finally, very important, the rhetorical effects of that concept in writing. So essentially why you are teaching that concept to your students, why that concept helps to improve student writing in whatever way. Okay, so here's the rubric. You've got grammatical conventions that are appropriate for the grade band that you've chosen. You've organized it in a way that makes sense, right? What you teach at the beginning would make sense and be necessary for students to have learned about before doing something closer to the end of your resource, right? It also contains mentor text, definitions, examples, rhetorical effects, and should be somewhat, of course, visually appealing. I just, as a quick scan of an example of a past student, this student did organize it by calendar year. We have the standard here on the left, the concept, the definition, rhetorical effects of how it's used in writing, and a possible mentor text or texts for that concept. And then the same goes for each of the different units throughout the year. So something to be thinking about. That's one option. There's lots of ways to do this. But I want you to use this as a way to compile everything that you've learned throughout this course and really apply it to the grade level and the types of students that you hope to teach in the future. So create your resource, get creative, do what makes sense for you, and please let me know if you have any questions as you go. I look forward to reading them. Thank you.